Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai haere mai, and greetings to you all, and welcome to the TRK AUSA debate. Kia ora, I'm Neil, and I will be one of your debate moderators for this session.
Kia ora, I'm Jessica, and I am the other debate moderator.
Cool. In this session, you'll hear directly from the student candidates standing in this year's election to represent you at the University of Auckland. This is your opportunity to learn more about the candidates, their policies, and the priorities that could shape student life in the year ahead. Throughout the debate, candidates will share their key issues and the context behind their campaigns. We'll finish with a quick fire round where you'll see candidates' skills, qualities, and experience put to the test to the position they're seeking. The debate rules for this session are: each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the moderator's questions. Follow-up questions may be asked with 30 seconds to respond. Moderators will keep time and ensure rules are followed. Only the candidate being addressed should respond to a question. Candidates must uphold the university's zero-tolerance policy on bullying, harassment, and discrimination at all times. Candidates must not interrupt the moderator or another candidate while they are speaking. Now that we've covered the rules, we just want to give a heads up that we have 2 candidates in this session, and in total we have 6. And we'll see them more on the second debate series next week. And let's get started.
Cool. So if you guys just wanted to introduce yourself, talk about your past experiences, and talk about some of your aspirations for your role next year. Juanma, if you wanted to start.
Thank you. Kia ora. My name is Juanma. I'm a PhD student studying philosophy, PhD in philosophy. I spent the last 10 years working in corporates. So I have 4 masters in philosophy, but also in economy, business, and so on. And recently I arrived to New Zealand to study the PhD. And once that I arrived here, I realized that there are a few things that I would like to modify in the system, how a PhD arrived to know the supervisors, different rules, and so on. This is one of my main goals here.
Thank you. Eugene?
Hi, my name is Eugene. I'm a research master's student studying computer systems engineering. I started my course last semester. And while I was doing my first semester as a master's student, I realized that the master's students were in a very unique position in the university, especially their courses being very short. And also being as SEC representative for master's student in my department and also faculty, and also being in the teaching and learning quality committee. Yeah, I've encountered that whatever I just said, that master's students are in very different situation, and understanding of what the master's students were going through wasn't very obvious to all the staff and also students as well. And also from meeting my peers, also they have expressed the feeling of.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Cool. Thank you both. Moving on to section 2, we're going to be discussing some important issues within the PG community and PG space. What are some common barriers that PG students face? Eugene?
I can't say right now for all the PG students, but okay. I think one thing for all the PG students is that the PG students are not very active in terms of like advocating, having a voice. So I think trying to get them involved is also very important. And also, like I mentioned, for master's students, also postgrad certificate and diploma students, their representation is very lacking in, I think, every aspect or every domain of the university. So I think that's something that I would like to address.
Thank you. Juanma?
I think one of the main important issues that master and PhD students face when they start to do this moment in their life, which is really important, is the lack of clear and accessible information about the scholarships. I think that they don't really know what kind of academic opportunities they can find once they finish all the master or the PhD. So there is like an absence of information. And that's why one of the main points for me is just to have a clear structure about the criteria and so on to arrive to a good point as a student.
Thank you, Juanma. And going back to you, Juanma, our next question is, postgrad studies are an incredibly diverse cohort, like you said, and composed of niche research specialties from PG Dip all the way to PhD. How do you plan to engage with such a diverse community?
Thank you. This is a really interesting question because I don't want to talk about something in general, like in universal terms, and then when I arrive to different faculties, actually I'm going to find different things that I didn't realize. So I think that, first of all, scholarships, I think an academic opportunity is something universal in the University of Auckland. And at the same time, the way that I can go to get more information is to be in touch with the different faculties to know what are the needs that they have. Only in this way, if we are all the time in communication with them, is when we are going to really know the real need.
Thank you. And Eugene?
The same question. Did you want us to repeat it?
Yeah, please.
Postgraduate studies are an incredibly diverse cohort, composed of niche research specialties from a postgraduate diploma all the way to PhD. How do you plan to engage with such a diverse community?
I think the engagement part is what I've already been doing. I think people that know me that because I created a master's community within my department, which was lacking before, for us to communicate with each other. I want to continue doing this with the other faculties as well. Of course, I think being in this role will definitely help me reach out to other faculty members. And and also being a master's student and also planning right now to transfer to a PhD. I think I have the experience in both sides, and for classes and also through research. So I think that's something that I'm strong at in this role. Yeah, would be strong at. Yeah.
And reflecting back on your experience when building community within your master's cohort, might other faculties have different needs beyond just the creation of a community group within the faculty, and how do you aim to address these?
Oh, well, I think the first thing would be the community. And once the community is set up, there is a pathway to getting the information that you need, like from the students. So I think since our department or our faculty was lacking that initially, that's what we set up. I think for our other faculties where they already have communities set up, then we have a network of information that can be
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you. Juanma, you mentioned that you are a current PhD candidate. How do you plan on balancing this role with the demands of your study?
Sorry? Could you please repeat?
How do you plan on balancing this role with the demands of your study?
Yeah, thank you. This is obviously one of the main questions that I also had in the past before coming here, because obviously doing a PhD takes around 6-7 hours. So the things that I think that this role has a lot of philosophy, and this is my main area, because this is not about just doing different actions, because we are going to do different actions. Eugene is going to do as well many actions, but what's happening in the next year? The next year, everything is going to be different. So part of the philosophy of the University of Auckland is not only to take actions and to do things, it's to modify the space. So I think that this kind of modifying the space in the University of Auckland to improve is actually part of my PhD program. So I don't see any unbalanced situation between this role and my PhD.
Do you feel like it'll be difficult for the continuity of, because you spoke a lot about, like, I guess, reworking the space.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this will continue for years to come, or do you feel like this will just be a one-year thing, and then after you move on from this role, something else is going to happen, and I guess the change that you've made won't continue?
Absolutely, it's going to happen exactly what you said if we don't do it correctly. If we are going to do something like, we're going to do an event where PhD students can engage. Obviously, this is something that is not modifying the space. It's something that we are doing, and next year, let's see. So this is why what I'm trying to do is actually to create the habit in the University of Auckland. One of the main points for me, for example, is to have the criteria that allows a student to know if they are eligible or not to certain scholarship. Once you have this, it will help.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
And cool. Going back to Eugene, how do you plan to navigate AUSA's governance structure to ensure that postgraduate students' needs are effectively communicated and prioritized?
Can you spread that out a little bit so I can understand better?
So basically, how would you navigate AUSA's governance structure to ensure that postgraduate students like you and their needs are effectively prioritized and communicated?
I think from my understanding of the government structure, I think from the concession that I went to last week, I think this role is the sole person that communicates and manages the whole postgraduate community, or we can have subcommittees to do that. So I think the first thing that I will do is create a network of subcommittee members across all faculty and all departments for information to come up. Because I think the main thing right now for PGs is that what is actually the problem, or what is actually the agendas are actually not reaching the AUSA or the university. So that's the first thing I would do.
Yeah, thanks.
I guess in that position, you are also working with a postgraduate officer. What are your plans to work collaboratively together to ensure that all of the policies that you're advocating for will be properly communicated?
Are you asking how or what I will do?
Yeah, like how, and because I think it's really important for you to work closely with the postgraduate officer.
Yes.
So I guess in what mechanisms would you do that?
I've also come from an entrepreneurship background. I've run companies before, and companies with hundreds of employees. So I think the main thing is communication. I think I keep saying this. So I will set up a regular meeting with the PG officer, student officer, and I, that can communicate the issues that are going on, and also what I've been doing and what that person's been doing, and also within the subcommittee. So I think regular communications in monthly or weekly basis continues, and I think that will be no problem.
Thank you, candidate.
You also pointed out that there's a lack of postgraduate student engagement within that space, but you mentioned that you want to set up faculty committees, I guess, in different faculties. How are you going to get postgraduate students to engage with those committees when you see a lack of postgraduate students, I guess, on campus at all, or even engaging in activities that we already have?
I don't think we see a lack of postgraduate students. I think being a postgraduate student, I see postgraduate students all the time because I know where they are. So I think because that's the case, and I think if we send the voice out there that the postgraduate vice president or there's some kind of vice president or postgrad representation in the university, I think reaching out to these people are also very easy. And also I have a very good relationship with the staff because I've been in all these committees and also hosted a lot of events for our department too. And I've found that they're very endorsing with engagement. So I think events are, yeah.
Thank you.
And Juanma, just also asking the same question, I'll say it again. How would you navigate AUSA's governance structure and ensure that postgraduate students' needs are effectively communicated and prioritized?
So I believe that one of the main points here is, as VP, is to be the face for the students. So, for example, the first day, the first semester, the VP needs to be there just to be in touch with all of them. This is the only way that can help them to have someone in mind when they have a problem. Otherwise, when you have a problem when you are a student, you don't really know who you can be in touch with. In this way, it is a way to know, think of you directly, and take all the information that you need to solve the situation or to solve the need that they have.
Just to follow up on that, in terms of assessing needs, there are a lot of postgraduate students as well on Grafton campus, and I'm going to assume you're based on City campus because you're doing a PhD in philosophy. How do you plan on engaging with the students on other campuses?
So this is a really interesting question, actually, because to be honest, every time that we are thinking about if we are based in philosophy, for example, we are thinking that the campus is only over there. So one of the main things is to be in touch with the PJ officer to see what they have been doing in the past, to engage with the other side of the campus, in the case of philosophy. So with that information, this is the first thing that you need to do, to get all the information as much as possible, to know what has been done and what can be done in the future.
And I guess what changes do you think you would make based on what the current postgraduate vice president is doing?
I think that something that must be urgently modified, as I said before, is to establish criteria for scholarships and for academic opportunities. For example, we don't really know what is needed if you want to work as a GTA, for example. you don't really know what is needed if you want to apply for a scholarship or if you want to apply for a specific scholarship in your faculty. You have this lack of understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Eugene, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Juanma?
What Juanma just said in the last part, I think these are problems that my peers had the same problems. But I think for me, being the student representative in the SSCC, I was very active in expressing that I'm here to help them. So I think it was easier for them to get information from me. Like this, I think in every faculty, every department, I think the staff should be aware initially when they try to recruit the representatives that this is why they have to do it and why it's important. I think right now it's just a mandatory thing that they have to do. So they say, okay, nominate yourselves, but then not people that are actually willing to do the role is there. So I think teaching these representatives what the role is also important.
Thank you, candidate.
Moving on to our next section. So as Neil said, we've had the opportunity to look through your policies that you've written up. So we've looked through some of them. We just have some questions to ask you. So starting with Juanma. This is quite a long question, so let me know if you want me to break it down. Looking at your policy on professional development and financial security, how will you address the real financial challenges that postgraduate students often face, such as limited scholarships, the high cost of living, and difficulty finding suitable postgraduate employment? You've spoken a lot on scholarships already, so I think it'd be good for you to focus on the high cost of living and difficulty finding suitable postgraduate employment.
Thank you. Yeah, 100%. This is something that obviously me as an international PhD student suffers a lot. Just keeping in mind the price of living in New Zealand, the rent, that's a lot. So something that we really need is first of all to know what is the budget that the University of Auckland has available for the different scholarships. And then we're going to see what can we do with that. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe we have a lot of funding in a corner, but because of the lack of transparency, we don't really know if we can use it for certain things. So I think, as I said before, that one of the main points here for me is to establish criteria to know, first of all, the use of the different budgets, and also who is eligible for what. That I think that would solve the problem that you are pointing out.
What about any solutions beyond scholarships? Because you've spoken about that a lot. Are there any other avenues that you think would combat the high cost of living?
Yeah, so this is interesting. It is interesting because I don't have any answer to that. And that's actually really good, because it means that there are a lot of things that can be said by a lot of students. So one of the main points that I'm going to do, if chosen as VP, is to be in touch with different PhD students and master students to see what are the kind of needs that they have and what they think they should get to solve the situation.
And to follow up on that, we just covered different aspects that's issues postgraduate students face. What do you believe is the utmost priority if you had to choose one? Is it the scholarships, the high cost of living, or the difficulty finding employment? What's the most important for you?
I'm going to say it is a scholarship. Why? Because in the moment that you have a scholarship and then you have money enough to survive, it means that you are going to have enough time to dedicate to access to different tools. Like you're going to have more time to study, more time to do the research for different positions, academic opportunities, or going outside to find jobs. So I think that scholarships, they tend to think that the scholarship is just money for the students, but actually it is something important. Thank you.
What about, I guess, postgraduate students who might not be on scholarship? What kind of answers would you have for them? What kind of solutions would you have?
So actually, that's my case. I'm a PhD student and I don't have any scholarship, even when I apply for it. This is one of the main points why I'm here, because once I apply to the different scholarship, and I didn't apply only to one, but I applied to many of them, the answer that I received are never satisfied because it is a lack of criteria. There are a committee behind the different scholarships that we don't really know, and criteria that they are using by their own, which makes that this election is not democratic at all. And this is why we need to address this problem.
Thank you. We'll move to the next question. You mentioned wanting to represent PG students with honesty and clarity, but how would you define real representation, and what tangible steps will you take to ensure PG voices are heard in the university's decision-making process?
Thank you. Yeah, I am thinking, because as I said before, I'm coming from also from corporate background, I'm thinking about KPI. And KPI are the different ways to measure what you need to reach. So you need, and this is something that I need to do with all the team, to see what is the different KPI that you have to solve the current need for students, and then go to different faculties to see what they really need. So keeping in mind the different KPIs that maybe allows you to see if you have success or not, it's a way to do the first step.
So would you define real representation through KPIs?
I wouldn't say that, because that's actually quite ugly to say. I wouldn't say it is KPI. I would use understanding and diversity. So the way that we can represent different voices is to understand, not only to know, but to understand the different needs that they have, keeping in mind that there is not only one stereotype. We have diversity. We need to keep them together in order to know what we need.
Thank you. And when you talk about diversity, does that contradict then your one way of getting the representation through, let's say, going through those different faculties? Is that accommodating to the diverse needs? What about beyond that?
Yeah, so this is also, thank you very much for that question, because actually I'm also a member of the diversity committee in the AAP, as Australasian Association of Philosophy, and I'm a member of this committee diversity. And one of the main points that I try to do is to have different voices in the academia. So if you're asking me how I would consider this diversity in practical ways, I would say to go to different, and this is something that I did even.
Thank you, candidate. Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. And we'll now move to Eugene, and with the policy research that we've conducted. We see that in your policies that there is a heavy focus on community building through social events. But how will these social events address the more fundamental concerns of PG students, such as academic or financial pressures?
Well, I mean, from listening to Juan just now, I honestly don't think this role can solve that issue. It's not, I mean, we can try, but it's not a direct path. It's something that's going to be a long-term process. What I'm suggesting now is a very quick and fast thing that we have to. First of all, we put an infrastructure of good network of PG students in the university, and that's actually the foundation, I think, of everything. Let's say talking about financial, I mean, do we even know if the students are actually financially struggling, right? That's another thing. We have to find, we need to get information from the actual PG students, because there's also a PG vice president role. So I think basic thing that we have to do is the community building and making an infrastructure network of PG students, which can actually be a foundation of solving all these problems.
So we've seen in the past that we previously had the PGSA, and it was the Postgraduate Student Association, and it was found that those links were not that successful, and postgraduate students were not feeling that connected. So I guess my question is, how would you change that to make the structure last for a longer time?
I've built these kind of organizations before. I'm not going to get into that, but I think important is culture. So when you build a community, it's important to implement a culture of continuous, so it's sustainable. I think when you just get a bunch of people and just give them information and then say, okay, we're going to have this event later, this is just, unless somebody is working on it continuously, it's not going to be sustainable. When you have culture, let's say people have we educate people, or we spread out helping each other and giving information.
Your time is enough.
Moving on to our next question for you. This is also quite a long one, so please let me know if you would like me to pause.
Okay.
In your policies, you have proposed a solution to the master's and PhD divide. However, the position you are in at the moment requires that you serve both PhD and master's students. How will you represent PhD students when it comes to their issues if you do not have the requisite knowledge?
So I've just, I think initially told you before these questions that I'm actually planning to do a PhD, or I'm applying to transfer to a PhD also. So I think because I'm in that position, I will have the understanding or also have the support from the PhD community as well. So I think that can also answer your question. Another thing is, it is a problem that the PhDs and masters have very different experiences in the university. PhDs are very research focused. The masters are very class and lecture focused. And there are parts of research master students in the masters that are just kind of in between. So dividing this will be very logical if you actually experience the whole system like I have.
I guess you spoke a lot about your experience as being on the SSCC
yeah.
for your faculty and creating that community and that committee. But I guess beyond your faculty, do you think you will be able to represent the needs of students who may work in vastly different areas, for example, Juanma with philosophy, or I guess students on Grafton, PhD students on Grafton?
That is actually my dilemma before running for this role. Can I do that? And the reason I decided to run for this role is because I want to have, I think I would have more access to the other faculties if I am in this role. Currently, I've actually been trying to reach out to other faculties while in my role to get more information on how things are done in other faculties. But it's very difficult just being a faculty or a department representative. I think as the AUSA PG Education Vice President, I will have access to all this. And like I've done in my department and faculty, I think I'll be very successful in communicating.
Thank you, candidate. Your time is up. And just one more follow-up questions for both of you. Both of you have talked a lot about relationship building and how it's really important to build these networks. Before you even build these networks, what makes you think that students will be able to trust you in building these networks, sustaining them, and actually fostering a tangible outcome and results that postgrad students look for? We'll start with you, Eugene.
I think actions speak louder than words. I think, actually, honestly, this is just words. I can say a lot of things, but if I don't show myself, the people are not going to believe me. So I've actually shown to my department and the people in my faculty that I am someone who acts and tries to, and very persistent to make change. I've changed many things in my department also. Like I said, I will show by acting, reaching out, communicating, making events, and being in the
Thank you, candidate. Your
events.
time is up. And Juanma?
Yeah, I think this is a really serious job or a serious responsibility. I believe that if this position is started actually for the next year, it means that from the scratch, from the very beginning, I need to be over there in the first day that the new students arrive. If there is an open day, you need to be over there as well. In every event that you have for master's students and PhD students, I need to be there. It is the only way to really engage with them and to let them know.
Thank you, candidate. Your time is up.
Moving on to our next section, it's called What's Hot on Campus. So we have done our own research into speaking with postgraduate students to ask them what issues they would like you to address. And so I guess one of the main concerns is how will the candidates ensure that all postgraduate students' voices are heard, including conflicting needs between domestic and international students? Juanma?
Yeah, so as I said before, something that we need to do is to create different events regularly to connect with all of them. Just in this way, it is an interesting way to know what they need. And also, it is easy to find the different clubs that we have in the university. We have clubs for philosophy, but also to rock climbing, also from Japanese studies and different. This is a way that if approaching to those different clubs, it is a good way to get really good information.
Eugene?
Can you explain that?
So how will you ensure that all postgraduate students' voices are heard, including ones with conflicting needs, such as domestic and international students?
That's a very good question, I think, for me. Because domestic students are actually in PG that I've experienced are not very, I don't think they need a lot of help. I think they already have everything figured out. They come from job, they come from undergrads for a long time in the university. A lot of the people the peers that reach out to me were international students who are actually just newly here. I think that's, honestly, frankly speaking, that's something that I have to figure out while I'm doing this role. But I actually do have a lot of intentions to reaching out to the domestic students as well. And I also want to hear their problems in the university so I can address them as well.
Thank you. We'll go to Eugene with the next question. AI is a hot topic at the university at the moment. How will you approach the use of AI in the postgraduate space?
That's a very hard question. I think every committee I go to, they talk about this. And there's no solution right now. It's a transitioning phase of the world, I think. But I think it's a fact that it's going to be there, and all students have to be ready in their domain on how to utilize these tools in their professions and being good at it. If they're not left, if the university restricts the use of AI, they will be left behind in that aspect. So I'm for using AI, and I think we should continue to try to use it, but in an ethical way where it won't conflict with students' learning and also the assessment. It should be fair and ethical. So yeah, that is a very difficult question, and I think it's an ongoing debate and discussion that we should continue having.
And Juanma, AI is a hot topic. How will you approach the use of AI in the postgrad space?
So thank you. I love this question. This is something that actually I'm addressing in my thesis, in my doctoral thesis, because I believe one of my chapter will be how to decolonize technologies. But apart from that, I encourage, when I'm working as tutor, I encourage a student to use AI. And I think using AI is not a bad thing. It is just how to use AI. So if, for example, I want a student to write an essay, I don't want them to go to AI to build the essay, but I want them to go to AI to know what are the different points that they can get, what ideas they can get to use it. So I think that AI, it is obviously, as Eugene said, it is a difficult question, but it is a really interesting tool if we teach students how to use it.
Thank you.
Cool. So our last question. We have seen some issues with transparency and a lack of accountability this year. How will you track progress to ensure there's accountability in achieving the goals that you have set out for your campaign?
Could you please repeat, please?
Yeah. So it's essentially about how are you going to be transparent in tracking the changes that you've made throughout, if you get elected, throughout next year in terms of the policies that you are campaigning for. So for example, if we speak on the one with scholarships, how will you ensure that postgraduate students are learning about what you've been doing and tracking the changes? How are you going to be held accountable?
So basically what we need to do over there is to check, first of all, who is in charge of making the decision behind the scholarships and what kind of answers the students receive. So it is not about only making decisions, establishing criteria. It is also to supervise what the committee is doing and based on what. This is the way that we have to understand if actually what we are trying to implement is doing correctly.
Thank you. And for Eugene as well, or who else? Eugene.
No, and Eugene as well.
Yep. I think for transparency, it's an interesting question because I didn't think about it before I run for this role. But I think for my campaign and my agenda, it's easy. We can just, if we have a committee set up, I can continue sending out execution plans or what's done already, or like I will come up with a plan initially and then announce this out and then show the progress by maybe regular newsletters. I think that's transparency-wise, that would work. I think for accountability, I think I'm a kind of person that when I say I do it, I just do it, so I don't really think about that because I don't think I'm not going to do it. Right? And this is the things that I will actually do in my campaigns. I'm not going to say, I don't know, honestly, about the financial part. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to
Candidate
progress it, so yeah.
Do you think busy postgraduates who have to focus on, maybe their thesis or their own research will have time to engage with those kind of transparency?
Well, from my experience, the PhD and master students want to engage, at least for the international students. They're here to make networks because they've come from a different country where they have a lot of friends, a lot of network, a lot of connections. When they come to New Zealand, they don't have any. The main reason they come to University of Auckland is because it is the best university in New Zealand, and they think the network they're going to make in this university is the best one in New Zealand. So the needs of networking is very high. I've actually surveyed this myself all the time. So when you have an event, the attendance rate is very high.
Cool. And we'll now move to the final section of the debate. And pretty much it is the rapid fire questions. We will ask you a question and you have 1 to 3 words to respond, and we'll give you 10 seconds to respond. Yeah? And the second one starts off.
If you had to cut one postgraduate program, what would it be?
You have to cut.
You have to cut one postgraduate program, so no one else can take it. If you had to cut one.
Juanma, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, in a funny way, I'm going to say philosophy.
Okay.
Philosophy. Thank you.
Eugene?
Are you talking about program in terms of the majors or?
Yeah, major.
Oh. Oh my God.
5 seconds.
Arts. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're all important. Yeah.
Okay. What is one thing you would change about how the university treats postgraduate students? Eugene?
Again, what was the question?
What is one thing you would change about how the university treats postgraduate students? Eugene?
Oh, basically, I think everything in the university is tailored to undergrads.
Okay, thank
so
you.
I would say to be closer to postgraduate students.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Juanma, describe your campaign in 1 word.
In 1 word,
In 1 word.
transparency.
Thank you.
representation.
And Eugene, do you think the university sidelines PG students' wants and needs, and also their wants and needs? Yes or no?
Again?
So, do you think the university sidelines postgraduate students with their needs? Yes or no?
Sidelines?
Yeah.
So puts it aside so they don't really think of it as a priority?
No, I think they just don't. I mean, some of them are just not aware.
Okay,
I think.
and Juanma?
In this point, I totally agree with you, Eugene.
So it's a no from both
It's no
candidates.
for
Yeah.
both? Okay.
Thank you. And could you describe your your fellow candidate in 1 word? Juanma.
Sorry, if I can.
If you could describe your candidate in 1 word, your fellow candidate.
If you can describe Eugene in 1 word.
Accurate.
Okay, and same for Eugene?
Professional.
Thank you. And cool.
So that brings us to the end of our debate, but did you guys have any concluding remarks? We'll give the candidates 30 seconds to say, I guess, one last thing to the students who are watching, if you wanted to start.
Yeah, so I would like to say that if elected as VP, I want to establish a strong commitment to postgraduate students. It is crucial that a PhD student who understands the needs of both master and PhD students takes responsibility to advocate for us. And I will make sure to fight for and negotiate with the university to create processes that are inclusive and fair for all postgraduate students.
Thank you. Eugene?
For me, I want to be honest and say when I nominated myself, my goal was to endorse somebody else because I wanted our voice to be the agenda in the university. So me, it's not really mainly about winning. It's mainly about my agenda, what I represent and what I want to promise. If anybody else can, put this as a priority, I'm willing to endorse that person instead of me. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for joining the debate session. Voting starts on the 18th and ends on the 29th of August. And that's it from us. Kakite.